right, here we go. 10-4. Dolphins enter their final exam. I almost forgot. I think I said we had aced our floor evaluations. I guess PTSD. I forgot that Titans loss. But we're pretty high, like 95%. Our ceiling evaluations, they haven't been good. We're 0-3. But it doesn't really matter. You got 3 left. Make those count. And you get everything, the whole enchilada. So these next 3 games, and obviously the postseason, is going to tell us whether this team has been built right, if it's headed in the right direction. This is a peak talent season with probably a small dip next year, and then a bigger dip the year after that. We've got to make hay. Dallas is up next, Christmas Eve. For the longest time, I kept saying I've been a fan since 1977. Because we were playing this game, I actually did a check. My first game as a Dolphin fan was the Dallas versus Miami. And Miami won that game, which was great. But I thought it was 1977. It was 1978. So I've been hyperinflating my time as a Dolphin fan by a year. But now I know. So this is a big game for me. This is Dallas versus the Dolphins is how I started as a Dolphin fan. I remember the Leon Lett game like it was yesterday. So this could end up being another epic game. It's not a death knell if we don't win, but we really need all the wins we can get. So I'm going to get into the injuries leading up into this game for us. They got Zach Martin's a big one, their left guard, all world. He might play. It's not like he's kind of trending towards playing. It's big for him. But for us, we're home. We got guys like Hunt, Howard, Hill, among others that are dinged and uncertain. Holland, big names. So as this injury report plays out, it's going to help us gauge the matchups better and what our chances are going to be. But the key for this game is going to be the run game. I'm going to go over how the Dallas Cowboys lost their 4 games, what the running attack was, and look at our offensive line as it was designed and as it is now, because the run game will come off the offensive line. Now, if Waddle's in, there'll be leverage created because of his speed, maybe because of the chosen. But certainly if Hill's there, it's going to accentuate. So Hill being in or out is not just going to affect the pass game, it's going to affect the run game. Dallas are very good against the run. They have some issues in their actual pressure department, some issues in their run defense. But if you can't accentuate that run game, then you're really playing into what they're doing. So this run game is going to be critical. Hill will definitely help. So him and being in and out is big. Hunt is a guy that we're going to miss big time. I don't think he's going to show. So that's what this show is going to be about. Starting to prep for this Dallas game, focusing on our run attack. And then you got to add our running backs in, but it does start with the offensive line. So savvy. So, before I get into all that stuff, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the views, the algorithm gods, man, they love that stuff, and it keeps me in the biz. So I want to give you guys a shout out to A-Spread, my sponsor, because without the 2 of you, this show ain't going down. A-Spread's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, injuries. Today, we didn't see Mostert. He's an older guy. He's got some ankle issues. He'll play through. It is part of the thing. Hill, some people are saying, he might not play this week. And if he does, he might not be 100%. And if he's not going to be 100% and play this week, it could create a lingering effect. And of the final 3 games, the most critical is the Bills game. And you don't want Hill to push that ankle and be descending so he's at his weakest at the Bills game. It would be better for us to go without him this week and even next week, so he's 1,000% ready for that Bills game. But he wasn't in today. Achan, he wasn't in today. Some dings and stuff like that. I don't really get that. Neither him or Mostert really worry me too much. Howard, he wasn't practicing today. A little bit concerned about that. We'll see. He's an older guy. We'll see how he plays. Tehran, he's going to play. He missed today. They got to let the poor guy's body heal a little bit. Austin Jackson didn't practice today. And whether you love Jackson or hate Jackson, we need all the bodies we can get. So it is a little concerning there. Hunt was not seen participating as well either. I don't think he's playing. He had his limp last week. It took about almost a month for him to get back to playing. And again, he's a guy who's going to be essential for this Bills game. It's really all about the Bills game. I mean, that's just to get us to a good spot to the postseason. I think we'll make the postseason no matter what. But that one's going to be key. You don't want to travel to Buffalo or be on the road for that first game. If we win the division, we'll at least get a home game. Javon Holland was seen stretching. Durham Smythe working out on the side. Deshaun Elliott's almost through the concussion protocol. He's in red. Holland is another concern. It was MCL sprains on both knees. And MCL sprains are tears. They're just lesser tears than like that full tear that's something that Ramsey had. This is very concerning. I don't know if we're going to see Holland this week either. From what it sounded like, I'm not sure he's going to make it. So there are some concerning injuries, but let's see how it plays out. Now let's get into the run game. You want to beat Dallas, you run the football. Don't have to always be the best, but pretty good. I'm going to put this little image up here. You're going to see Dallas versus Arizona, Dallas versus Philly, Dallas versus San Fran, and Dallas versus Buffalo. And you can see they were all two were unbelievable. 220 yards on the ground, 7.6 yards per carry. Arizona had that for 29. Buffalo, 266, 5.4 for 49 carries. And then still a very good game. San Fran versus Dallas, 40 carries for 160 yards. And then Philly had the least of the bunch. It was 109 for 3.3. Now, if you want to put it in context, the Bills blew them out 31-10. Arizona, it was a tight game, 28-16. San Fran blew them out, although they had decent numbers in the run game, 42-10. And the Philly game was close, 28-23. It's the run game that keeps them from pinning their ears back and forcing you into off-schedule second and third downs where they could be a problem. All right, so when you go over their numbers, their defensive numbers, you can see they're fourth least in pass yards. They're 19th in run defense, so that's where you can see a chink. They're 9th least in yak yards allowed, which is pretty good, again, accentuating that pass game. They blitz 8th most, but they're only 26 in hurries. They're 12th in sacks, so they blitz extremely heavy, but their efficiency in their pressure isn't so great. But they are 32nd least in missed tackles, which is another way to limit it and get more plays for the defense to do their thing. They're 17th in pressure, as I mentioned, 21.9. So they're blitzing like 36 and then only getting 21%. So it's not really an efficient pressure game. And this is where Hill can come in to be a major part with Hill and Waddle to take advantage of that blitz. They got some good cover guys, and they can extend that time to throw. But when they can bring the blitz, you can see it gets in for us very quick. This week, we only got blitzed 3 times, but it came in 1.7 seconds. Even though we're getting the ball out at 1.86 seconds. That's totally mind-blowing. The completion percentage is a scary part about them. They're allowing 30th least 59.7 completion percentage. So if we come out and try to pass, there could be major problems for us. We had a tendency to fall off track sometimes and be in those third and longs, and then we would still make it anyway, but it's going to be very difficult with the pressure, with the injuries on the offensive line, the shuffling of the offensive line. And so it's going to come down to the run game. I'll dial more into the run game, how you got to attack them. In my live coming up this Friday at 10 p.m. when I do the full breakdown of Dallas versus the Dolphins. But obviously, Raheem Mostert is going to play a major role. Now, I love Achane, his ability to get to the edge and make an explosive play. They've been pretty good at times, for the most part, handling that edge stuff. It's going to be the broken tackles and running hard inside to attack this weaker interior. The edge is manned pretty well. And so Mostert, when you look at what an unbelievable season this guy's having, and he does owe some of it to the movement, McDaniel. He does owe some of it to Waddle and Hill and the threat of the pass game, creating that stuff. But this guy's running like an animal. We know he's broke the TD record. He got 20 total. He's third most first downs at 56. He's seventh in yards after contact at 364. He's tied for 10th for broken tackles. And his total yard after contact is 14th at 1.8. He's going to play a major role. We have to run the ball and run the ball effectively. Now, if you look quickly at the games I mentioned where Dallas lost, you kind of see some stuff coming out when you understand what the line did and then what the running backs did. The line's production is yards before contact, how far they blow the guys out, and at what point the contact starts. And then the running back, what does he do when the contact happens? So if you look at the last game that happened, the Bills, they ran for 5.8 yards per carry, but there was heavy rain, pretty heavy rain, decent rain, which makes it a little harder. But they just ran the ball down their throat, inside and outside, mostly inside. They had 2.3 yards before contact and then 3.5 after. Arizona, they had 4.6 yards before contact and 3.1 after. Now, San Fran had a little bit of a reduced game along with Philly. Their yards before contact was 1.4 and 2.7 after. Philly was 1.3 yards before and 3 yards after. Those running backs ran hard and broke tackles. Whereas in the Arizona game and the Bills game, the offensive line did a ton of stuff. Although in the Bills game, Cook broke tackles. It made huge gains after contact. Now, they're ranked around 19th. Dallas was ranked around, Jets are ranked around 27th. So Dallas is like around 19th in overall run defense. And then Jets around 27th. So if we look at what we did against the Jets, it was great that we just ran the ball, and even though it wasn't great effect, we averaged like 2.8 yards per carry, which is no bueno. You want at least 3.4, 3.3, at the very bare minimum, 3.5, because you figure 3 runs would get you to first, so 3.5, 3.35, just enough to get you is where it starts to be a good run game. Now, against the Jets, we had 0.9 yards before contact and 1.9 after contact. There's a whole thing about yards before contact and when the running back gets hit, how it diminishes the yards after contact, because the closer you are hit to the line of scrimmage, the bigger the guys are, the less momentum you build, and yada, yada. So we only got 0.9 yards before contact from our offensive line. And this is why Hunt is so big and Connor is going to be missed. And so I want to dig into our offensive line and understand that we're going to need better production than against the Jets, because the Dallas can score. They can run the ball pretty good. They have talented receivers. Dak is playing incredible. They've got a good line. Martin not much better with him. This is not going to be a one-sided show. It's going to be a two-sided show, and we're going to need to produce. So if you go and look at our current makeup, you'll see Armstead's coming in, but he's a little dinged. I liked what he did, but you could see he's not himself. He's playing unbelievable. My man Tehran is playing unbelievable for all the injuries. But then you got Lester Cotton, who can't do much of anything, especially not in a run game. Eichenberg, the talk was he didn't play well last week because of the calf. Is it going to get any better after playing through a whole game and then through this week? Either A, it totally miraculously heals, or he's going to be dealing with it, and he's not good normally, and he's going to be less than that this week. So either Jonathan Harrison comes in, who's even probably worse, but maybe he's got some extra reps. And then you got Hunt, who's not going to be in, most likely. Jones will come in, and he's good at run blocking at times, but he struggles in the pass protection department. And so that could be a problem. Then you got Jackson. Now, Jackson, he can run block at times. And he can pass block at times. The level of his production drops more he becomes the focus. Now he's got an injury. I don't know if he's going to play. But if he plays, he's probably going to be dinged. And he's going to be a focus because he's probably going to play next to Robert Jones. So let's hope that Robert Hunt can get in it. Because if Robert Hunt's in there, then Jackson gets some of that pressure taken off and he can do a pretty good job. But if not, he's going to be dinged and he's going to be asked to rise up and to help Jones to carry him. But if he's not in, maybe he plays a backup role because he's just not ready. Then you got to bring Lamb in. And Kendall Lamb was pretty darn good in blocking on the left side, in the pass blocking, but not so much in the run blocking. So he's going to come and play a position he's not really got his feet wet at, and in a while. And then he's going to be asked to have to be a balanced blocker. And that can be concerning. And then you look at Keon Smith. Some people think he could develop, maybe. I don't know, but I don't think he's ready now. So we are very, very thin. We've got 9 OLs. We started the season with 9 OLs, which was smart. I didn't necessarily like who we picked. But 4 of them are hurt, dinged, and 1 is likely not playing. So we could be down to 8 going into this game with 4 guys dinged up. This is a very, very concerning thing, and it's got to be the focus. And if you're covering the Dolphins or you're a fan of the Dolphins and you don't make this a focus and things don't go the right way, then Tua and McDaniel will get the talk and they'll get blamed, and that's ridiculous. It's this offensive line. They just got to do enough. But this is a very tough front, and so it's got to be about this offensive line. Now, to me, this season's based whatever happens is going to be about Chris Grier. Chris Grier decided to take an avant-garde build. But we're 10-4 with this avant-garde build of kind of like just throwing stuff on the offensive line with a few stars in there. And we're 10-4. So you've got to give Chris Grier some kudos right now. But it's got to finish strong. When you look at what we started the season with, Armstead, star. But he was coming off multiple injuries, got injured in preseason, didn't start the season. And so that really says, hey, you know what? We've got this really great guy, great player, but we're uncertain. We've got to have depth underneath. Now, Lamb, he came in. He's a vet. He's a bit older. He's a one-dimensional kind of player for the most part, but he played really well for us. And that was a backup, and that was a great job. But then when you go down the line, Isaiah Wynn was always injured. And he was injured this year. Who would have thunk? Me. And he was only one-dimensional, couldn't run block. You saw we got, big run production, but it's how it comes about. And you can see all of a sudden against certain teams, he didn't do so well. And then we kind of got stymied against certain types of teams. It's how it comes about. Then Connor Williams, star. No one thought, I can't blame Chris Grier. Who thought he would have got injured? But you should have realized how valuable that position is. And what if it happens? What if the unlucky riverboat roll comes your way? And we had Liam Eichenberg, who's never succeeded in a position, has never played center. And now we're in a position where he's going to have to carry us. Was not the wisest. And then Hunt, star, who thought he would get injured? He did. But you had Lester Cotton, who's not fit to start in the NFL. He's got developmental possibilities. I like him better at center, but that wasn't so wise. And then you got Jackson coming off a major injury, who's never really had success. He's done pretty good in certain parts when he's had guys to kind of make him the 4th or so guy on the roster, on the starting roster. You had Teron and Lamb in there to kind of carry that part. And you had Connor and Hunt to kind of carry up. He did okay, but now he's being put into that second role and it's getting a little questionable. But then you got Keon Smith behind him. I liked how he started with 9 OLs. It showed that they did try to bring in depth. I question if, as these injuries were happening, why didn't we flesh out our practice squad better? Why did we have Olave on there if we never intended to start him? We should have had more guys on the OL in there. You could have got some vets in there, found some guys and put them on the practice squad roster and get them used to us, or get some guys in the back end. But we banged very, very hard on a lot of questions, and now we're in it. We could still get to where we got to go, and Chris Greer would deserve huge kudos for brilliance. But this is going to be the key. Can we run block? Can we get Hunt back in time? Can we do enough on this offensive line that we don't got to shell up against the Ravens, who can play some offense? They're going to be at home. They're going to be physical. The Dallas Cowboys that can play offense, they can play defense. And then the Bills, we can see. This is what it's going to be all about. I don't know how it's going to play out. We will see. We can win any of these games and we can lose any of these games. But it's going to be based on what this offensive line does to set the table. Then once the table's set, then it's Tua, it's Hill, it's Waddle, it's Mostert and Achane, and then the defense. But this offense is going to have to produce. And we got to keep our eyes on this offensive line and see how it plays out. It's going to be brilliance or a dunce cap. I don't know. We'll see. So running game's the key, guys. I'll get some more coverage to you. The live on Friday night at 10 p.m. here. We're going to get into deep and hot and heavy of Dallas versus the Dolphins. And once we get these injuries squared away, we'll really know where we're at. Anyway, Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with AceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.